All right, it's been a little bit since we've read from The Power of Un, so I'm going to remind you what happened last time. We found Ash and Gib back at the carnival. Rainey was going to take Roxy also to the carnival. And when they got there, they decided to play some games. And Ash decided to play one of those games where you toss a ball to knock down milk bottles. And he was going after a remote control airplane. And the first time he missed and he didn't get the plane after spending a bunch of money to throw the balls. And so Gib unned a few minutes for him and gave him another chance, and he did that 3 more times. Finally, Ash won the airplane and he was super, super, super happy. But just as they were walking away from the booth, the mangy stray dog trotted by, so that's where I'm going to start. Suddenly a dog trotted across the way in front of us. Not just any dog, the mangy mutt. I sucked my breath in sharply. "What?" said Ash. "You look like you just saw a ghost." "The dog. It's the one Roxy ran after, will run after, into the traffic." Ash stopped and looked at me. "I just thought of something. Did this happen last time? Did you know I was going to win the plane tonight?" My stomach felt like there were worms squirming around in it as I considered how to answer. Yes, no, it didn't happen like this last time. Everything's already so different. Except that dumb dog. Why'd he have to be here? I looked at my watch and felt even sicker. It was 8:15. I couldn't remember exactly when the accident would happen, but I knew the time was getting close. "Cheer up," said Ash. "Look, if it didn't happen like this last time, that's a great sign, right? It means maybe everything will be different too." "So what if the dog's here? We haven't seen Roxy or Rainey. Maybe they decided not to come." I glanced around. He was right. There was still no sign of them. I really, really wanted to believe that they hadn't come. But there were hundreds of people in the carnival crowd. Roxy and Rainey could easily be there somewhere, even if we hadn't seen them yet. "I've got an idea," Ash continued. "Let's go on the Devil's Elevator. Once we're up there, we'll be able to see the whole park. If they're here, we'll spot them." I thought it over. It was true that there was no better vantage point at the carnival. On the other hand, the last time I'd gone on that ride, I'd seen the world crash down around my shoulders. The idea of doing it again made me feel all scooped out somehow. I swallowed. It wasn't easy. "Okay, I guess so," I said in a small voice. We made our way to the towering ride through waves of strolling parents, excited children, and high school couples holding hands. The air was thick with the mingled smells of dust, popcorn, and spilled soda. Ash picked out a woman behind the counter of a snack booth. She had dyed blonde hair piled high on her head, dangly red earrings, and big gobs of green and purple eyeshadow. But she smiled at people and her smile looked real. He asked her to keep the airplane for him while we went on the ride, and she grinned, put one finger under his chin, and said, "Anything for you, cutie." Ash grinned back, and I thought I might get sick. I handed over 2 tickets for the Devil's Elevator, and we stood in the line, which was short. I felt worse and worse as the minutes passed. Roxy had stood here almost in this very spot, then run after the dog while I'd watched, helpless, in the metal cage above. "Step inside, please." The gravelly voice of the ride operator jolted me out of my waking nightmare. He steadied the cage and held the door open for us. Ash flung himself inside and buckled his seatbelt. "Come on," he called. "What are you waiting for?" I stopped with one foot in the cage and one on the catwalk outside. I've got a really bad feeling about this." "Move it, will you?" said the carny, frowning. "People are waiting." I stepped inside. My stomach was already spinning, and the ride hadn't even started yet. A too small voice inside me squeaked, "Don't do this. Get out of here." I told myself I was just being a chicken and an idiot and a baby. While I buckled my seatbelt, the same group of 4 girls who'd been on the ride with us before climbed in, already screaming with excitement. I looked at Ash and he rolled his eyes. The cage jerked, grinding slowly upward. I grabbed the mesh with my fingers and stared through. Below us, the carnival seethed with moving bodies, lights, and colors. The music of the carousel floated up, rising and falling with the breeze. Maybe it was luck. Who knows? But my gaze came to rest on the pony ride, and there was Rainey lifting Roxy down from a little brown and white horse. I breathed easier when I saw that she was keeping a firm hold on Roxy's hand. Roxy pointed at the snack booth and the kindly woman who was keeping Ash's plane for him. They walked toward it. Their voices were lost in the crowd and the wind, but I knew what they were talking about. Roxy would be asking for a candy apple, or Rainey would be suggesting it. Just then the mangy dog ran past. Roxy gave a little leap of joy. Rainey let go of her hand to open her coin purse, and my heart went into warp speed. Hardly anybody I know goes to church, except maybe a couple of times a year on special holidays. This includes my family. Ash's parents met in a spiritual commune in California, which is probably why Ash's name is Ashada instead of something normal like Brian or even Julius. They never go to church at all. They just have a place in their house where they burn incense and practice being mindful. Ash and I have talked about this before. The thing is, when we need to pray, neither of us ever knows who to pray to. Sometimes a person just wants to pray for something small, like not striking out or getting at least a C on a big test. But other times you want to pray because you feel lost and you don't know what else to do. You want somebody bigger and more powerful than you are to be in charge. That's how I felt, watching Roxy tear off after that dog and knowing what would come next. I pressed my face against the mesh and screamed, "Stop her! Stop her!" I don't know who I was pleading with. Anybody who might be listening, I guess. Ash's breath brushed the back of my neck as he leaned close, watching from behind my shoulder without a word. He smelled like corn dogs and peanuts. Lorraine whirled and looked around, suddenly aware that Roxy was gone. I heard her shout rise up thinly, "Roxy, stop!" as she sped after my sister, her coin purse yawning and forgotten on the snack lady's counter. I watched them dart through the carnival, the dog, chased by Roxy, chased by Lorraine, moving relentlessly closer and closer to the street. I felt the line of heat from a tear trickling down my cheek. "Don't," I whispered. "Please don't let it happen." Ash's breath stopped abruptly as the dog jumped off the curb. Lorraine was so close. She stretched hard, snatching at Roxy's sweater. Somewhere in that moment, before anything terrible had quite happened yet, I thought of using the unner, not waiting for the awful inevitable. But I was too late. The unner was only halfway out of my pocket when the dog ran in front of the truck. The driver stood on his brakes. I heard his tires squeal. Smoke rose from the pavement. Then the mysterious universe took over. Against all odds, Lorraine caught Roxy and spun her around, hurling her back to the sidewalk as if she'd been flung from the end of a crack-the-whip game. But Lorraine kept going in the opposite direction, unable to stop herself. The truck hit her and tossed her high, her body moving in ways that looked all wrong. I closed my eyes as the devil's elevator roared toward the ground. Only a few seconds had passed, but it seemed like forever. Oh, I hate thinking about these situations. So, look for my question on the assignment, and we'll read some more this week.